So, how did this fierce looking beast, capable of ripping me to shreds with its notoriously sharp fangs, turn into this goofy looking dog that endlessly begs for cuddles and butt scratches? And more importantly, did we do it? Or did they do it to themselves? For a long time, we thought that we were the masters. Theories like the pop adoption hypothesis say we stole wolf puppies, raised them, and forced them to be kind, while the hunting hypothesis states that wolves were domesticated through means like aggression reduction to aid humans in hunting. But there is a bit of problem here. Time. You see, researchers argue that 15,000 years to 30,000 years isn't enough time for natural selection to turn a killer into a cuddler. You can't just turn a wolf into a dog in the archaeological blink of an eye without humans forcing it. Or is it? According to Elzinga, Kulwiczki, and the team in their 2025 paper Rapid Evolution of Prehistoric Dogs from Wolves by Natural and Sexual Selection, emerges from an agent based model. Time might not be the problem we think it is. Their thesis? We didn't domesticate dogs. Wolves domesticated themselves. And they did it fast.
Moving on with the summary of the study, the goal of this work is to test whether wolves could develop entirely proto-dogs
My grumbly.
through natural and sexual selection without humans intentionally breeding them. But how would they do this? Is there such methods? Hmm, let's answer that question. The researchers built a computer simulation where each wolf has a trait for how tolerant it is of humans, and that trait can be inherited and mutated across generations. They then let these wolves compete for two kinds of food, one which is wild prey, and the other is human food around camps such as scraps, for over 15,000 simulated years. Now, what are the key findings of this research? In many scenarios, the population split into two groups. One, which is more tolerant of humans, which behaves like proto-dogs as you can see in this clip. And one less tolerant, which stays as their natural state as wolves. Now, we can see that the tolerant group did especially well when the environment was harsh and when human-associated foods was an important resource for them, because tolerant animals had better access to that food.
For decades, the story of how the fierce predator like the grey wolf became a loyal companion sitting on our couches has been treated as a settled mystery. For a long time, the hunting hypothesis was the gold standard for explaining how wolves became dogs. The idea is simple: humans and wolves team up. Wolves track the prey, humans make the kill, and everyone eats. But the critical analysis in this study identifies a massive archaeological flaw. Between 30,000 and 15,000 years ago, humans weren't using the kind of tracking or retrieval tactics like wherein a wolf would be helpful. Instead, they relied on direct impact killings using spears and pits of immediate close-range lethality. In this scenario, wolves weren't partners. They were direct competitors for the exact same meat in the exact same ecological niche. Then, there is the pop adoption hypothesis, wherein the idea that humans had reared or raised by humans these wolf pups as pets. The study points out three major roadblocks. First, there's zero evidence that pet keeping was a cultural practice in the Paleolithic era. And then second, the math is not mathing. Humans were often living on the edge of survival. Why would they share their precious meat with a non-productive, potentially dangerous predator that will have no immediate benefit? Without a clear evolutionary payoff, the cute pup theory falls under scrutiny. These traditional stories focus on human intent, but they ignore the harsh biological reality of the Stone Age. Humans and wolves were rivals, not friends.
So instead of humans consciously recruiting wolves,
The simulation suggests that selection pressures within the wolf populations favoring traits like reduced aggression, social tolerance, and mate preference for cooperative individuals may have set the stage. In other words, wolves weren't waiting for humans to tame them. They were already evolving to something more dog-like because it gave them an edge in survival and reproduction. Which flips the narrative. Domestication wasn't a gift bestowed by humans, but rather it was a self-driven evolutionary sprint made by wolves, who found that being less terrifying and less aggressive made them much more successful in survival and reproduction. Which provokes a question. Were humans simply opportunistic beneficiaries of a wolf population already shaping itself?
Prehistoric dogs likely evolved rapidly from wolves through self-domestication, driven by natural selection, in which wolves that were less aggressive and more tolerant of humans gained survival advantages and reproduced more successfully. This co-evolutionary relationship between humans and wolves laid the foundation of emergence of dog-like populations. To improve this line of research, upcoming studies could incorporate genetic data and archaeological records to confirm the models, while also examining ecological influences such as climate change and human migration. Comparing domestication across different species would provide a broader context, and applying these insights to modern breeding, conservation, and educational efforts would increase the study's relevance, highlighting the ancient connection between humans and dogs and offering valuable lessons for the present.